Ask anyone who ever met him and you'll hear Mel Fisher described the same way. They will say he was a successful entrepreneur, a proud community leader, a caring family man. When you talk to those who really knew Mel, you will inevitably hear about his warmth and his quiet generosity, about his philosophy of giving back, sharing blessings. They are right, of course. Mel was all of those things. He was born and raised in Camp Washington and lived above the family-owned paint store. It's where Mel first learned to get used to being with people, not of his own faith, and where he began to form a work ethic and a personal philosophy that defined him for 80 years. Mel ultimately attended the U.S. Naval Academy, graduated in 1955, and then served 3 years as an officer in the Air Force. Along the way, he met and married Roberta Lerner. Together, they raised 4 sons, of whom they are very proud. Mel started his career as a salesman at DuBois Chemicals and eventually joined with his brother-in-law, Jerry Lerner, to buy a struggling chemical maker named Texo Corporation. I worked with Mel at Texo Corporation, and I can tell you his people skills were off the charts. He connected with everybody on every level. He led the specialty chemical business, and over the course of 35 years, built it into a strong enterprise. It was eventually acquired by the large national company Nalco in 1998. He went on to own and operate a number of successful businesses, including Premier Manufacturing Support Services, AMPAC, and Westchester Marketing. Mel's last venture was Galaxy Associates, the Blue Ash-based chemical company, where he was chairman. Like the best entrepreneurs, Mel always had a very clear vision of what the goal was and an incredibly agile approach to reaching it. He brought these same qualities to his tireless support of the community. Whenever there was an important cause in the Jewish community and across Greater Cincinnati, Mel was always among the first to step forward. He once said, "I've always felt very strongly about putting something back in the pot for those who have not been as fortunate as me." In 2008, his good work was recognized when he received the Carl H. Linner Award for Entrepreneurial and Civic Spirit. Mel took the national fundraising stage when he led a successful $17.5 million campaign to build the Commodore Uriah P. Levy Center and Jewish Chapel on the Naval Academy campus in Annapolis. He did so for one compelling reason, because when he was a midshipman in the early 1950s, there was no synagogue on campus, no place to worship for those of Jewish faith. Now there is.
When I met Mel Fisher, I was interviewing for the position of rabbi at Adath Israel. And I knew immediately that Mel was a very smart person and a very strong person. Quickly, I learned that Mel also was a very compassionate and generous person, a very honest, sincere, and loyal person. Mel was my confidant, consultant, advisor, and at times my critic, always having my best interests and the best interests of our synagogue in heart, and always in a respectful, warm way, sharing with me what I needed to hear, and always I needed to hear it.
You know, when you were with Grandpa, things were just better. Every time you went somewhere, no matter where it was, from any walk of life, everybody knew Grandpa and had a story about him. He had an uncanny ability to relate to everybody, no matter who they were and what their background was. And people recognized that, and he taught us from a very young age not only the importance of always doing the right thing, but treating people the right way. And that's a skill that hopefully we're practicing today and making him proud of.
So I first met Mel in 1983, and one of the great privileges of my life is I have been the Fisher family's lawyer since then. And Mel is really one of the people who's been most important in my life. And Mel was, in my mind, a teacher, a coach, and one of the consummate deal makers I've ever met. Mel liked nothing more than to take somebody under their wing who needs some coaching and give them the tools to be successful and the incentives to get there. And for me personally, Mel adopted me when I had way more confidence than talent and helped really show me the things that were important, not only in the business world, but personally as well. And so Mel's teaching people in terms of how to give back and the need to give back and the importance of how you treat others was a critical part of my development and the development of many others.
Today, his 4 sons carry on the family tradition of organizational leadership and Mel's sense of responsibility to help others. Bobby Fisher is chairman and CEO of Washing Systems. David Fisher is president of the Birthright Israel Foundation. Mark Fisher is CEO of Meyerson JCC, and Michael Fisher is CEO of Children's Hospital Medical Center. All 4 have served as chairman and active members of any number of community fundraising, and all participate quietly and generously.
Lessons on life and leadership from our dad, Mel Fisher.
When it's time to work, work hard. When it's time to play, play hard. But don't mix the two together. It's like oil and water.
The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
There are 3 sides to every story: mine, yours, and the truth.
It's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Bet on the jockey, and you can't teach enthusiasm.
Always put something back in the pot. And what have you done for your fellow man? He came in with nothing and left?
Not with nothing, but with riches beyond his imagination.
Those being the love, admiration, and respect of a large family,
Hundreds of friends, thousands of associates, and generations of lives that he touched and inspired.
Hail to the chief. We love you, Dad.
I think the biggest thing that I could teach any of my children, treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't ever lose sight of that. Help somebody always. Somebody helped me, and somebody helped them. So whether it be dollars and cents or advice, help people. It'll come back to you.
In a world that often demands either a head or heart decision, Mel Fisher was a man who showed us how both can be done extremely well.
What I'd really like to say is thank you. Thank you for everybody for being here tonight and for helping us to honor our father and the other laureates who are being honored tonight. On behalf of my mom, Roberta, and my brothers, Michael, Mark, and David, as well as my wife, Arna, and my sisters, Suzette, Stacy, and Evelyn, what I would say is we couldn't be more proud of our father than we are tonight. It's really a special evening. I would like to recognize the other laureates who are being honored tonight as well. They are Dave Phillips, Bob Summerall, Ted and Maddie Gregory, and Diane Dunkelman. So this is really a terrific group. I can't think of a more deserving and I'll say great group of people for my father to be honored amongst. My dad would be especially proud to be honored, especially tonight, because it's under the auspices of Junior Achievement. And Junior Achievement has a vision that is really very consistent with my father's vision. He always wanted to help people, and amongst those people that he was especially anxious to help were the youth of our society. And Junior Achievement in its goals certainly seeks to help our youth through helping them learn about business and about free enterprise and gaining the leadership skills that will help them become successful in their careers. And nothing would make my dad, with his enormous heart, more proud than to help young people. Many of you here knew my father. And I'm going to share something with you that many of you might not be aware of. While he was a very outgoing and, I'll say, gregarious individual, if you really got to know Mel, he was really a very quiet, humble, and generous individual. And it's really, he provided inspiration to not only the 5 of us and our extended families, and I do want to recognize his grandchildren that are here tonight, so thank you, kids. But he was just very moved by what he saw as the good amongst the people that he was able to help. So it's in this spirit and with great humility that on his behalf we're very proud to accept this award. So thank you very much.